Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Fine, let me share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, fine. So, in our last session, we have discussed about BigQuery architecture. So, how actually the internal architecture of BigQuery will be executed. So, we have seen coalesces, we have seen Dremel, right? So root node, mixers, and then leaf nodes, slots. So we have seen everything, right? So and please just give me a minute. Okay. So we have discussed about BigQuery architecture. So today we will see how we can actually create data set in BigQuery and how to create tables and then how to load data, right? So how to load data to BigQuery tables. So we'll see that a concept today. Uh, so we'll see multiple different ways to load the data. We can load the data using NiFi. We can load the data using Python script, right? So we can load data using BQ command line utility, BigQuery command line utility. So we have three ways of loading data into a BigQuery table. So we'll see that data loading part today. Okay. Fine. So before going here, so let's go back to our notebook. Okay, so I'm just starting my notebook. Okay, so I'll also log into my NiFi. Okay, so NiFi, where is my? So I'm just logging into my NiFi. So we'll also write the Python code or Python application to load the data into BigQuery. Okay, so I'm just logging in. Okay, so here if you see, I have this pipeline, right, wherein I'm executing the query on a RDBMS table and I'm loading it into GCS, right? So now let us try to load the same thing into BigQuery. So to load the data into BigQuery, we have a processor called put BigQuery batch, right? So put BigQuery batch. So this is the processor that we can utilize, and we can always create the relation here. Also, where we are actually using the convert record processor, somewhere we are using that. Okay, we'll take this. Okay, so you have BigQuery related processors in NiFi. So you can stream the data using NiFi, or you can load it in a batch wise also. So I'm just showing you how we can load the data in a batch fashion, right? So you can directly use this. I'll connect later. Let me clear this. Okay. So for utilizing this is BigQuery. So you BigQuery load, you need to. So here we need to configure few properties, right? So here we need to give our project name, right? So the project name we need to provide. So our project name is dev-de-training, right? So dev-de-training. Okay, fine. So GCP credentials provider service. So we already have a service that we created for GCP. So you can utilize the same service. Okay, and number of retries same. Data set. So bq.dataset. So here you can pass your data set as default dataset. Default dataset. Okay, and then table name. You can pass it as customers. Okay, so create disposition. So if the table is not there, it will try to create. If you select create if needed, so it will try to create. If table is already exist, if you want to fail the load, then you can actually use create never. Okay, and write disposition, you can actually go for write append. Okay, so that you can check. I mean, you can keep on appending the data. Okay, so CSV input. So here, if you see, you can actually load the CSV data as well as Avro data. So you can configure those parameters here. Okay, so I'm just clicking on apply and just routing this funnel. Okay. Okay, load file type, somewhere it is there. Load file type, yeah, here. So I can say CSV. Okay. Okay, so this is the success relationship error. So we can simply route it. The failure, I'm just retrying it. Okay, see here. So our pipeline is ready now. So let's try to start our pipeline. So this pipeline will take the data from on-premise or local SQL Server database table, and then it will load it into GCS first, and then it will try to load to BigQuery table. Okay, so that is okay. So this is the Parquet writer we are using. So, but we need the convert record. to CSV, right? Or else we will directly connect this SQL server. See guys how we are actually taking things here. So here what I'm trying to do, so I'm actually converting to Parquet, but in our load table, so here if you see load file type, so load file type we don't have Parquet actually. We have only CSV and Avro, okay, and we have new line delimited. So we cannot load directly a Parquet file, a Parquet flow file from the NIFI. So that is the reason I'm actually making it as Avro, so that by default my flow file itself is Avro, right? So I'm just removing this connection. Okay, I just removed it. So whatever the Avro file that I'm getting, so I'm just loading it. Okay, so one flow will load it into GCS, another flow will load it into BigQuery table. So this is also one of the example that you can consider. Okay, so you can also do one more thing. So which you can take it as a task for tomorrow. So you have the Parquet files loaded into GCS, right? So from here you can trigger another process, or you can call another process to load those files to BigQuery. Okay, so that is also possible. Okay, so now let us try to run our. Okay, so our flow file came here. Let's try to do a run once here. See, it went to success. Now let's go to our BigQuery and then check how actually our table got loaded. So I just refreshed my contents, and here if you see the customers table, so when you click on the table, you can see the table metadata, so the column names, right? And then the details also you can see here. So what is the complete table ID, and then last modified, right? And then size of your table, everything you can see. You can also preview the data as well. So it will take few records and then it will show you. Okay, so that is something that is about loading data from on-prem system or from on-prem database to BigQuery using NiFi. Okay, fine. So now let us understand how we can create a data set. Okay, so my notebook is up and running, so I will go and open my Jupyter lab in the notebook. Okay, so I'll try to execute a BigQuery query. Okay, so here if you go to terminal, and here you can actually write your BQ utility. So BQ is a BigQuery utility, command line utility that has been provided by Google itself. Okay, when you set up your notebook environment, you will get all these G Cloud, GS util, BQ, all these utilities by default. Okay, so here if you see, you have a BQ utility, right? So you have a lot of options here. Okay, so you can create access roles, you can create projects, you can create data sets, you can give access to specific table for the users, right? So and then you can actually load data to the tables. So everything you can do from BigQuery as BigQuery command line utility as well, right? So let us quickly understand how we can create a data set. Okay, how we can create a data set. So let us quickly see how we can create a data set. So this is the command that we can use to create a data set. So if you see here, bq hyphen hyphen location equals to us, make mk means make hyphen d data set. Okay, so your data set name, so my data set name is test underscore data. Okay, so this is my data set name. So when I execute it, so your data set will be created in your project. Okay, in your BigQuery space under your project, your data set will be created. This is the first thing that you need to do. Okay, so you need to give the location. I have given as US. Okay, so in real time, it depends on the organization. So your organization will select one particular location or region, right? So you have to give that location into your BigQuery. Okay, so let us quickly go here and check whether our data set is created or not. Yes, my data set is created. Okay, but there is nothing in my data set, right? So this is how you will create a data set. Okay, now let us understand how we can actually load, how we can actually load data using a Python script, right? How we can actually load data using the Python script to the BigQuery. So we already have few Python scripts under GCP. So I'll just quickly take them and then try to create a new Python file. Okay, so now I'm just taking the credentials from my existing code snippet. So I have these credentials here. Okay, so once I have the credentials, I want to read my data, right? I want to read my data. So let us see, do we have any files as such? Okay, so I have some file here, I guess, sample data.txt in the documents folder. Let me go to documents. Don't have anything. Okay, so let me check in the desktop, or else I'll quickly download this file from here. Data.csv download. Okay, so it got downloaded. Now let's go and get this path. Okay, so once you have the file path ready, what you need to do, you will just create the pandas data frame, right? So here import pandas as pd. Okay, now once you have the pandas, what you will do, data frame equals to pandas, sorry, pd dot read csv. So what you will do, you will just give this path and this backslashes, so you need to give two because they have escaping sequence. So you need to escape one backslash. So and then here you will simply say data dot csv. Okay, now your data frame is created. You can quickly check whether your data frame is created or not. Okay. Okay, fine. Your data frame is created. Now, what you can do with this data frame, right? So, how you can actually load? Just give me a minute, guys. Just give me a minute, guys. A minute. Okay. So once we have the data frame ready, so what we need to do, we need to load this data frame into a BigQuery table. That's our task, right? So how we will load that? So we have a inbuilt library in Python called uh, 2gbq. So you can pretty well go to the documentation of it. So pandas inbuilt library is there, pandas 2 underscore gbq library. So to Google BigQuery, that's what it means. So here if you see 2gbq library, and here by using this library you can load a pandas data frame to the BigQuery table. Okay, to the BigQuery table. Here if you see, it is taking a lot of options. It is taking a lot of options here, and you can utilize all those options. For now we will take only the important key options, which is the destination table and the project ID and the credentials part. Okay, so location also we will take. Location is also a parameter that we need to consider. So let us try to give all these things, and then we will try to load it into our BigQuery table. So here, if you see, so data frame dot to underscore gbq. Okay, destination table is, so what is our destination table? Default underscore data set or test underscore data. We have created a new one, right? Test underscore data. Just give me a minute. Okay, so we have created test underscore data, right? Test underscore data. And in here, the table name is dpt underscore data or dpt table. I'll say stage underscore dpt. Okay, so once I have this, then I will go for project ID. So project ID is, what is our project ID? So
Dev training.
dev de training, right? So dev hyphen de hyphen training. So we have given the project ID, and then chunk size, reauth, we don't need this, and then if exists. So here if you see, if exists is something that is one of the parameter. So this is something if exists, if the table is exist, what you need to do. So that is something that has been provided multiple options. So if you want to fail it, you don't need to give this option if the table is already exist. And then if you want to fail your pipeline, right? So then you can leave it. So the default behavior is fail. Okay. Or you can actually go with the replace option, uh, which will actually drop the table and then recreate and insert the data. Or you can append, right? So you can append. So that is also there. So you can actually use the replace now for now, because we don't have table ready yet. So let me try to replace, and then we don't have this table schema, and we don't need the table schema and all. Should load it. Okay, location US we have given, right? And then progress bar true. Okay, credentials. So we need to give the credentials. That's it, guys. So we just need to provide the required details to the library. The library is already there to load the data. We just need to give the required information to that library. Okay. Print data load to BigQuery is completed. Okay. So now let's quickly run it and see. We got the error. So missing optional dependency pandas gbq is required. Pandas hyphen gbq. Okay, so here we install this library. So that is something that we got missed. And then where we will go now? So we'll go here. Then we'll go to settings, then plugins, we'll go to project structure, project interpreter. Then we'll add plus. Then we'll paste it here. Pandas gbq, right? So specify the version and also keep the default version and install. So I'm just installing the pandas gbq library, guys, because we have pandas, but we don't have that pandas gbq, which is actually the library to load data from our laptop to BigQuery table. So I'm just installing it. So once it is installed, we'll run the Python code so that we can see how we are loading the data from our Python code, or how we are loading the data from our local machine to the BigQuery table. Okay, so today we have seen two ways. Okay, so it got installed. Okay, so let it update the skeleton. So today we have seen two options, guys. One is data loading to the BigQuery using a NiFi pipeline, and data loading to the BigQuery using a Python client, right? So we have seen two options. So I request you to write a Python code to load the data from on-prem SQL server to the BigQuery table. Okay, and this is one of the tasks to you. And one more task to you is load the data from GCS to BigQuery. So these are the two tasks for you. Okay, so note down the two tasks. One is load the data from your local SQL Server database table to the BigQuery table. Okay, so one task using the Python code. And second task is you have multiple different files in GCS, Google Cloud Storage folder, okay? And you need to load them to the BigQuery table. So you just explore it, okay? And then try to find out a way. So you can write a Python code for it. You can use BigQuery utility for it, right? So whatever is feasible for you, you can actually use that code and try to solve the task. Okay, so two tasks. Try to note down and come with the solutions tomorrow. We'll discuss. Okay, so fine. So our library is ready. So let's try to run our load. So it's again. It's not an error, but okay. So the load is happening. It seems. Please update. Yeah, so data load to BigQuery is completed. So there is some deprecation warning. So there are some options that has been changed in the latest versions. So that's what it's saying. It's okay for us because it's a warning. So now the load is completed. So we can actually go and check in our test data so that we'll validate our data. So I'm just refreshing our contents here. So see here, I have my table loaded into BigQuery, right? So this is something that I want you to check. Okay, so you also try to practice these options. Try to load the data from NiFi. Try to load the data from Python. Okay, and try to solve the two tasks by tomorrow so that we will see how we can do incremental load to BigQuery using NiFi tomorrow. Okay, so incremental load, how we can actually do. So that is what we'll discuss tomorrow. So how we can create a watermark table and how to read the data from the watermark and how to apply the filter, and then how we can actually schedule the pipeline. Everything we'll see tomorrow. Okay, so that is something that we'll discuss tomorrow. That's a project use case, guys. So I want everybody to join the tomorrow session. So it's important. So how we can achieve the incremental load fashion, or how we can build an incremental pipeline to ingest or to load the data to GCS as well as BigQuery. So that this is something that we're gonna see. Okay. So any questions or queries in today's session, guys? Any questions? Please ask if you have any queries or questions in data loading to BigQuery, creating the data set. So now by this time, we know what is a BigQuery and we know what is its architecture, and we know how to create a data set in BigQuery, and we know what are the data types of BigQuery, and we know how to load the data to a BigQuery table. Guys, any questions in these concepts?
Yeah, clear.
Yeah, clear, Ank.
Okay, fine. So that's all I have for today, guys. We'll connect once again tomorrow, and we'll discuss on incremental load job. So tomorrow we'll create incremental load job, incremental loading job using NiFi. Okay, to BigQuery. So that is something that we're going to discuss tomorrow. So I request everybody to join tomorrow's session. So tomorrow's session is a project level use case. Okay, thank you so much once again tomorrow.
Thanks, Ank.